Hey friends, this is Jim from Starduster Services joining you on the first day of 2025. Happy New Year. I hope you're all doing well wherever you are on the planet. So I'm just out in the backyard. The forecast was for rain, but it hasn't started yet, so I'm taking advantage of the just a chance to be out in nature again. I love just watching. I'm a bird watcher. I just love how nimble they are and how they all have their own different language. If you tune in and start to just listen, you can pick out a dozen different types of birds speaking to each other. And I remember once, it was either in a documentary or in an interview with some natural, oh, if you see smoke going by, it's a stick of incense that I've lit out here. I don't smoke. Don't worry. Um, where they recorded birdsong and then they slowed down the recording and it sounded like whale song. And then well, hello. Then they recorded whale song and sped up that recording, and it sounded like bird song. So you really couldn't tell the difference between birds speaking and whales speaking. They were just, the sound was happening at different frequencies. And of course, here I go again with my Mercury, Venus conjunct in Sagittarius in the ninth house. They're the most elevated planets in my chart, so they tend to be very prominent in how I act and how I think and what I love, right? What I value, Venus. Mercury is how we think, deduce, logic, rational, right? Mercury rules the lower mind, the concrete mind, the analytical mind. Venus is what we value, what's a priority to us, what we love, and all that. So it's like, oh, birds are saying the same things that the whales are saying, but at different frequencies. Wow, that's interesting. And so that starts to open up the whole concept that the universe is holographic, that everything is happening and everything is connected. We just don't notice the connections because of our focus, that's all. And I'm always saying in my videos, wherever your attention goes, your life force flows, and whatever you focus upon becomes prominent, until it can become an obsession if you just keep thinking about the same thing over and over again, right? Which creates habits. And so this leads into the vertex, which is a point in astrology that indicates fated encounters and situations and events that feel meant to be. It's a point in the chart that is associated with destiny. Of course, everything in our life is interconnected with everything else, so everything is part of our destiny. But the vertex, when planets cross it in transit or by progression, or when other people's planets, if you lay their chart over your chart and analyze your compatibility and your relationship with them, if they have planets on your vertex, it means this person is going to play a fated or a more destined role in your life. In other words, your interactions with that person are going to unlock situations, opportunities, events and circumstances and conditions of life that have a longer ranging effect on your life and more of an impact on how you're living. And so the way we calculate the vertex is it's the intersection between the plane of the ecliptic, which is the path of the sun through the zodiac, and the prime vertical, which is the point directly overhead where you're born. And you take the prime vertical and the plane of the ecliptic and you find the vertex. And of course, the vertex is a point in mathematics. We talk about parabolas and vertexes and all that. I used to be a math teacher in junior high and high school. I love numbers. But the vertex will only be found in the fifth, sixth, seventh, or eighth houses of our chart, which is the houses of personal growth and relationships. It's where all the transformation happens. So in my chart, the vertex is in the sign of Libra, and it's in my sixth house. And the sixth house is the house of work, service, health, and daily routines, regimens, schedules, appointments. The sixth house rules the normal routine we go through every day. It's when we get up. It's what we do after we wake up. It's, whether you brew your coffee first or take your shower first or shave first, that's the sixth house. And so I'm a person who's very, very oriented in life towards being of service, because that's what my Bhakti Yoga path is all about. It's the path of devotional service. So my destiny, you would say, or my life purpose, or in Sanskrit, my dharma, is to bring people together. I'm a harmonizer. And all my life, I have found myself in between people who were arguing and who were quarreling with each other, who had different points of view along a spectrum. They were polarized. They were backed into a corner of duality, and they were arguing that my side's right, and no, you're wrong. And I would always try to step in and go, no, you actually both have a lot in common. See, look at this. And so that's like kind of like a diplomat or a negotiator or arbitrator that tries to get people to agree, right? It's just part of my dharma. It's part of what I'm here to do in my life. So the vertex is a very powerful point in the chart. Also, the nodes of the moon, or the nodal axis, or what you might say the axis of fate or destiny. Also, when we look at a person's chart, the south node is where we're coming from. The south node in the chart shows all the things we're naturally good at already. It's the things we're used to and we're accustomed to and that seem very familiar to us. And it's where we don't have to put in any effort. It's the things we can just do naturally, and it's like we kind of take that stuff for granted. But the north node, cool sounds. The north node is where we're headed. It's the uncharted territory of our life. It's where we haven't been yet. It's the life path. It's the direction of our life we're going, the types of lessons we're going to encounter over and over again, the themes and the archetypes of what we came here to learn. And it often, like 99% of my clients that I work with and myself and everyone I know, we tend to shy away from our north node because it's uncharted territory, because it's not familiar. It's because it's kind of unknown to us. So it's outside our comfort zone. So we tend to want to fall back in our south node where we're comfortable, right? And for those of you who accept the notion of past lives and the transmigration of the soul from one body to another in a journey of conscious evolution, right? According to the Vedas of ancient India, there are 8,400,000 different forms of life that the soul can take birth in, depending on its past work, depending on its past actions, depending on the consciousness that it has developed through its journey of evolution, right? And so of those 8,400,000 forms, 400,000 of them are Homo sapiens. So there's 400,000 different varieties of human beings. And on this planet, we can see a lot of them. If you go to Finland or Norway or Sweden, people have a different look. If you go to Papua New Guinea or the Pacific Islands, people have a different look. If you go out into the outback of Australia, the Aboriginals have a different look. Everywhere around the world, you see different varieties of Homo sapiens. And of course, you don't see 400,000, so where are the other ones? Well, according to the Vedas, they're on other planetary systems. So I know I'm just rambling here because this is what I do. It's who I am. Because to me, everything's interconnected. So I just get really excited because I see how everything connects. And so that's why I was attracted to symbolic forms of knowledge, right? I'm a musician. I read music. I was trained as a percussionist and a trombonist in the high school band, so I read bass clef. Right? But then I self-taught myself trumpet, which is treble clef, and I still haven't learned to transpose between bass clef and treble clef. And so I just play trumpet by ear. I improvise. I don't read, but I can read trombone. But music, mathematics, Egyptian hieroglyphics, and astrology are all symbolic languages. In other words, tons and tons and tons of information is compacted and encoded in symbols. And so all of us know about math. There's the addition sign, there's the subtraction sign, there's the division sign, there's the multiplication sign, there's percentages, there's ratios, there's fractions, right? And you keep going up from addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, decimals, fractions. Then you get into geometry, right? A squared plus B squared equals C squared, right? The Pythagorean theorem, the hypotenuse, and you keep going, and then you get into trigonometry and calculus and partial differential equations, and then you get into theoretical physics. And so the scientists are describing the cosmos through all of these formulas and equations, right? And it's like you can write down an equation on a tile on the floor that describes how the universe works. And then you can write another equation that better describes how everything's happening. And they're marching forward in this quest for knowledge, this quest to understand where we are and who we are and why things are happening the way they are. And what's really exciting to me, excuse me, fifth chakra is a little blocked. The fifth chakra is the chakra of communication. Woo. Theoretical physics, quantum mechanics, physics, mathematics, science, research, it's starting to come full circle to the mystics and the sages of the ancient cultures, what they've known, and they've encoded in sutras for thousands and thousands of years. Like in the Vedanta Sutra, the first aphorism is Athato Brahma Jinyasa in Sanskrit, which means now in the human form of life is the time to inquire into the absolute truth. Because now in the human form of life, we have advanced intelligence, we have higher developed consciousness, so we can ask questions, do research, take notes, start to compare things, start to discern things, and we can start to answer questions for ourselves.